You're wanting to get better at sparring or competing in the ring? Very simple, you want to increase your fight IQ. But what is fight IQ? To summarize in my layman's terms, I'm just gonna basically say it's the ability to utilize your brain in the ring. Not to simply just go, okay, I have techniques, I know how to throw them, but I'm just gonna run forward and bomb them as much as I can, as hard as I can, and limit the thought process. That is not fight IQ. And fight IQ is going to improve very simply from one simple word, and that is your ability to stay calm. If you can be calm, you're going to be able to utilize this. When you can utilize this, you're not going to rely on brute force. That's what we're going to talk about today. So before even getting past the introduction, I already let you know what the most important thing is in developing fight IQ, and that is the ability to stay calm. But how do we go about developing that, and what are other things we can do to increase our fight IQ so we are getting better and not just simply improving our cardio, improving our strength, maybe dialing in perfect technique? Those are all good things, but again, in my opinion, not going to develop what people call high fight IQ, and that is something that we'll see out of people like Saenchai, Georgia Petrosian, Israel Adesanya. People who really get their brains going and defeat their opponent, not simply by their physique, but by the power of their brain. The first thing that these guys can do, and you want to be able to do, is make adjustments. You don't want to go in and go, okay, here's my game plan, and I'm going to stick to it no matter what. Obviously that works great if you're winning, but even when you're winning, there are adjustments that can be made so you're in less danger, or you can start winning even more. So that ability to go, okay, here's the way the fight's playing out, but I want it to go this direction, and how can I stop doing things which aren't working for me, or find things which will work for me even more? How are you gonna do this? Well, you're gonna start utilizing this thought process the next time you spar. It's not just going in and simply defeating somebody, it's trying to craft methods which will make it easier and safer for you to defeat them. And a big thing that we see in many fights with people, in my opinion, who have low fight IQ is they go for the early KO. Well, that's exciting, and a lot of fighters do have success with it. You're going to notice that these people often have KOs against them as well. And that's because, yeah, they'll KO an opponent, maybe even 3 times in a row, but then they get knocked out because they're not taking time to gather information. And that's what you want to do, especially in that first 30 seconds or minute. You want to be safe, you want to gather information, and if you really believe you are the more intelligent fighter, the better fighter, the longer the fight goes on, the better you should have a chance of winning, provided the person across from you isn't stronger or has better cardio or all these other things. But even if they do, a fighter with high fight IQ should be able to defeat them, again, by using their brain and staying calm. Now, yes, it's very simple, and it can be said that experience is going to be so important, because somebody who has 1 or 2 fights is not going to have that fight IQ, which they will when they hit 10 fights or 20 fights or 30. So experience is paramount in getting better and better, but you can improve your fight IQ in your sparring rounds. How are you going to do this? You need to set goals. You don't just want to go into sparring and go, okay, very simply, I'm just going to try and beat this guy. You want to step in there and set yourself some restrictions, or maybe something you're going to try today, something that's going to challenge you in a new way and is going to force you to step outside your box, because you might have to do that. You might have to step outside that perfect box of techniques you have when you're in a fight and things aren't going well. So you start setting limitations on yourself, and you go, oh, how do I find a way around these limitations? And there you start developing that fight IQ. This is essentially just a big puzzle, a big challenge, where you're going to learn, okay, here is me sparring, and there's all these obstacles in the way, and I have to learn how to get around them, but not just blocking the punches. There's more to it than that. And as you are doing all this stuff, you should be recognizing your strengths and your weaknesses, because that will allow you to, number one, know when you're in a massive danger point, when you're at risk. But if you know your strengths, you're going to have a better idea of how to really open up your opponent so you can land those things which you know you're best at. And a very, very simple way to increase your fight IQ is not to just put yourself in that moment when you're at the gym or a fight and go, okay, this is where I'm going to really work. You can, in addition, imagine. You can use that big brain and imagine your opponent, if you have one, or imagine yourself sparring at the gym, or imagine yourself doing drills. The more you imagine, the more you're going to be able to make those moments a reality. If you're going, you know what, I really want to get good at landing to the back leg. Landing to the back leg, which is difficult. Not many people can do that very well, but I want to be an intelligent fighter who can chop the lead leg, and then when they start checking really heavy, then I can come to the back leg. You can go home and imagine, okay, I'm going to slide my foot, get the check, and then come here. Or I'm going to throw a big combo shuffle step over, or pendulum step over, and then chop that leg. And the more you imagine, the more chance you have of actually making this happen. So fight IQ can be improved very simply by just sitting down and going, I'm gonna try this, I'm gonna try that. How might it play out? You just sit there and you think on it. As I stated at the beginning of the episode, fight IQ is very simply using this and not this to win fights. And if you can go about making sure that you put more thought process into your sparring, you're obviously gonna get better and better and better, and not just rely on the muscles, which as you get a little bit older and you slow up just a little bit, or you're not as strong, it doesn't matter as much because, again, you're still relying on this, and you can defeat younger, stronger fighters very simply because you're not playing their game and you're not relying on who's the better athlete. It's who's the better fighter. So thank you for joining me today, guys. As always, train hard, and I'll see you back here soon for another video.